talk about creating a sense of abundance on a low income. In this video in particular, I want to talk about the difference between budget and cash flow and how to manage your money. So I guess the first thing to get out of the way is to let you know that I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm just sharing with you what my struggles were with budgeting and how I overcame them. So let's start by looking at the budget process. I'm going to assume if you're watching this, you've done a budget before. There are so many different ways to do it and so many YouTube videos on how to set up a budget. I'm not going to go and reinvent the wheel, but I will add some links to this video to the online budgeting tool that I use. It's at sorted.org.nz, and also some resources and supports in my area that you could approach for budgeting, one-on-one budgeting advice. So my issue with a budget is that it's just a snapshot in time. You've examined what your spending is, you've either increased your income or you've reduced your costs. You've come up with a realistic budget, and all you need to do is live within your means. That sounds great, but I struggled with simplicity and convenience. That's to say, having a separate account for each sinking fund was overwhelming for me. If I put them all into one account, how would I know how much money I had accumulated for, say, car maintenance at any particular point in time? The next thing I worried about was having a plan B sorted for when the unexpected happens. Because it's like that old adage, right? Expect the unexpected to happen. It's certainly true with budgets. You can't think of every little expense. Things always crop up. And the last thing there is save me from myself. So generally I know the difference between my needs and my wants, and I'm very good, but occasionally I fall off the wagon like all of us, and I see pretty things, so I want to know how much is in my sinking fund to be spent on wants, and that needs to be kept very separate from my needs. So let's take it, I did this because it's going to be a lot prettier and easier to get an overview of how I organise my accounts. I had a lot of accounts with 3 different banks. I am whittling those down. And in order to save myself from myself, my income goes into a bills account that I can't access on my card every week. It's a high priority sinking funds account, my bills account, and I have automated as much as I can in there. Then every week when the funds go in, I make 3 transfers, one into my everyday account, one into my kids account, and one into mum's account. And that covers the high priority things. This is where I get my cash out. This is where I pay for my internet and car insurance and my phone and my medical and dental. So some of this money that goes from my bills account into the everyday account gets taken out cash, and some of it stays there to accumulate. The savings down here, those aren't funded by my regular income, so I don't have enough left over to commit to my savings goals, a regular amount every week. I make savings in my cash everyday spending to pop in here. When my income increases, I hope that I can make more regular deposits into my savings account. Now, this is my Excel spreadsheet. It's not pretty, but this is what works for me. I just want to draw your attention to this orangey box. These are the amounts that I've taken out of my weekly budget. So that whole process that I went through of creating a budget, I've done it with a budgeting advisor, and then I've updated it and done it online. It's sorted, links below. That shows me that my expenses in bold is less than my income. So that's a good start. But that doesn't tell me on a weekly basis, if my car were to break down, can I afford to fix it this week? And that's kind of where I fall down in my budget. That's where, that's the piece of information that was missing from just doing a budget like that. And I think when you don't know that, you feel like a failure. You feel like, well, my income is less than my expenses is less than my income. Why can't I afford this? It's because you don't have a lot of room to move. And, that's not your fault. That's just how things are working at the moment. Let's move on. You can see I use KiwiBank for my bills account. Here my income comes in. Here I've got my amounts budgeted. This is the amount that should be left over in my KiwiBank account at the end of transferring money into my everyday account, mum's account, kids' accounts. Up here's my everyday account, and I mentioned I've got some funds that need to be left in there to pay for regular things that I know are coming up. And up the top in pink is all the things that I fund through cash. So they're the envelopes that you see me stuffing. Also down here, the blue things, they're my savings challenges. You can see that they're not funded at the moment, but I am keeping a record of how much I'm putting in there. This is the exciting, budgeting, exciting, I don't know. This is the bit that is really the key for me in just keeping the whole thing working. And it's called Cashflow. So at the end of the week, last week, that is my bank balance. And I'll quickly go in and check. I've got an app on my phone. It takes less than a second to slide across and just see that balance. I put it at the top in my opening balance on this account there, and then I put in how much I'm transferring across from my KiwiBank bills account, which is 300. So it's got a minus sign there because I'm taking it out. It's got no minus sign because it's a credit. I'm putting it in. Then I put in there how much I'm taking out to stuff my envelopes. And then I put any expenses that I know that I've got a dental bill coming out there. And then at the bottom, this is automated. This is the sum of all of those transactions. Then I manually put in up here the starting balance of my account for the next week, and so on, and that's how much I get left over. You see I've highlighted this in yellow, and that's because this week I've got my cash stuffing, I've got my phone bill, dental, and internet coming out, and that leaves me with overdraft. I don't have an overdraft, by the way, on this account or any accounts. I'm desperate to stay away from credit. I don't have a credit card. But this gives me 3 weeks to work out how I'm going to fix that. And what it boils down to is basically I've either got to put more money in there or I've got to reduce my expenses. And so I've got 2 options for this. I can look through the rest of my spreadsheet and look at my other accounts and see if I could maybe put less in these accounts over the next few weeks to be able to fund that. That's an option. It's coming into the coldest months of the year in New Zealand here, so I'm not keen to take money out of this account where my power comes out. I'm with Power Shop, and they're good because you can go into their app and they will give you a forecast of how much you're likely to spend, and I know which week that's coming out. So that's a big week for paying bills out of this account, and I think I want to leave that alone. What I could do instead is I could take a little bit less money out. Say if I took 225 out this week. That would leave me with a little bit more, so I put that in, 67.30. I'm still $5 short, but what if I took out that's fixed that. See, that's 9.30 now. That means I have less in my cash envelopes, and as well as having less in my cash envelopes, what I might try and do is I've got some stuff that I need to throw up on Marketplace or Trade Me. So I've got some items we're no longer using that I could sell, and that might help bump up my cash I have available to spend on groceries and stuff that week. But I'm actually quite comfortable with having a little bit less those 2 weeks, just to make sure that everything else is working. If I didn't think I could do that and I didn't have anything to sell, then I would go down here and cut out my projected haircut. But I am going to be searching for a job and interviewing, so I want to look my best, and I have 1 or 2 haircuts a year, so that's a self-care item that I've been really looking forward to, so I'm quite keen to keep that. It's all trade-offs, right? You're a different person, you might make different decisions, and that's fine. I'm just going to take this 64.30, 4.30. As you can see, there's another yellow box over here. 50. So you can see again, the following month, it's the same week. It's the same week that we've got a whole lot of expenses hitting at the same time. So I'm going to leave it for now, but I just know coming up, I'm short in my budget. This just means that basically my dental visits I'm probably overrunning the amount that I've set aside for dental. And as I mentioned, there's really no more money left in my budget. So I will do a quarterly catch up, and I might look at reducing some of the spending in here and increasing some of the spending in here, or there might have been a change to my income situation, which would be fabulous. Yeah, anyway, I hope that has helped you to understand how cash flow works. It's different from just doing a weekly budget, and I think cash flow has been the key in helping me feel abundant and just reducing my anxiety.